Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining us again in this journey. Each episode, we are uncovering new layers of what a near death experience can teach us. Today's discussion opens up some very unique and personal insights of Dr. Rajiv Sinha. Namaste, Uncle, and welcome to the Awakening
Hari
Chain.
Om, Hari Om,
Hari
Hari Om to
Om.
you and to all the people who are taking the trouble to listen to this. Tell me.
All right. So, as you know, this is a question answer series. So, I'll hit the first question for today's episode. And the question goes: Are you more sensitive to energy, people's pain, or intuitive signals now?
Yes, the answer very straight is yes, but of course, one has to qualify it. Yeah. Um, Having been, I think, yes, certainly it's something that is not unique to me. Almost anybody who has a near death experience also becomes very energy sensitive, right? Uh,
Okay.
so
Okay.
energy sensitive, some people become so extremely energy sensitive that their social interaction with people actually becomes painful and subsequently gets reduced. They become
So, do you mean painful to the to one who is listening to you, or painful to you?
painful to
Who's?
us, painful to the person who's undergone the experience. It's not
Oh, I see.
because not all the energies that you pick up are necessarily positive. You pick up negative
I
energies
see.
also. You
Okay.
become so sensitized to people's pain, not only for people, for animals, insects, birds, whatever you want to say. You develop such a sense of oneness with them after your near death
Yeah.
experience that it's better. Many people find it better to go into a shell, become introverts, reduce their interaction. Okay. So that is also one way of escaping this vulnerability to a lot of energies. Okay. um, Essentially it's empathy. The word is empathy that we're looking at, because once you become empathetic, I think your sense of empathy goes up. So whether you see a suffering human being, or you see a suffering cat or a dog or a bird or even an insect, right? You and having had the NDE, having had the near death experience, you it's very very clear to you that you share the same energy makeup as every other thing which is here in God's creation, right? The energy that you share with a tree may not be as intense as that which you share with another human being. Okay. But it
Mm-hmm.
certainly is there. Right. So
Yeah.
you can feel the pain of a tree which is being cut down, as it crashes down, as the saw is cutting it, and it suddenly falls down. You can literally in your mind hear the scream of the tree. So it's becomes very disturbing, you understand, because once again it's empathy here. When you see a animal being hunted or attacked or in pain, right, you do feel a lot of empathy, and therefore that entire feeling does come through, huh? It
Yeah. Yeah.
does. I would go to the extent of saying ki, like, as you had asked ki, any human being, right, can develop the ability to pick up vibrations, right, and to pick up
Yeah. Yeah.
energies from various people. Okay. It all depends how much you open your mind, right? Now in our case, in the case of people who have a near death experience, this has been a gift. It's a gift, if you can
Yeah.
call it a gift. Okay, if you can call it a gift, it's a gift. I did. I mean, one of the things I keep reminding myself, you see, it's a gift from God, because I had done nothing to deserve a thing like this. I mean, हमने कोई बहुत बड़ी साधना नहीं की, right? I was not a particularly spiritual person before this happened, right? I did nothing to deserve a thing like this, but it's a gift. And so I say to anybody that, anybody can develop the ability to feel energies from other sources, from other people, from other living creatures and beings. It depends how much you open yourself out to. I
Absolutely.
can't feel I mean, I can see when I see a stream, a
Mm-hmm.
river is contains so many living things. I'm
Yeah.
just not talking about the fish and the turtles and the very, and the very big. It's a full living creature. I mean, it's a living entity.
Itself.
A
Yeah.
hill or a mountain is also a living entity. It supports so many life forms. Yeah, It supports bushes and trees and insects and birds, and it's a living entity, right? Of
Yeah.
course, it has its own energy level. Nah, you may not be able to perceive it. You may not be able to perceive it, right? Like if you hug a tree, I mean, this whole thing about hugging a tree, hugging a tree.
Hugging a
Okay,
tree.
okay,
Yeah.
hug away as you want. The tree is not going to be aware of it, but because the tree is moving at a different time scale compared to you. You see, the
Mm-hmm.
tree will perceive your hugging maybe many months from after you hug it. It's
Right.
working on a
Yeah.
different time scale, not the same as yours, not the same as yours. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it will perceive you. Of course, it will perceive your kindness, your like for it, and as a matter of fact, fast-growing vegetative things like small plants. Right, there's a
Yeah.
lot of work being done and has been done in the past from Dr. Bose that little plants actually do react to a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, there's a lot of research done on it, and to prove that. So, see, the energies are everywhere, whether from a plant or a tree or a mountain or a stream, right? You have to be able to perceive it. Okay? They are
True.
perceiving it. They will perceive it at their own time scale.
I think what I can think of are two things here, Dr. Sinha, because see, I have had the opportunity to interview, you in the past. I have interviewed an astrologer, I have interviewed a numerologist,
Yes.
I have interviewed a social activist, and somebody who is also saving nature, right? So one thing I feel, and I would like to pray, at this platform and at this juncture, is that all of us should get this gift of understanding the energy, right? Because it is so critical. Like, I wish that all the policymakers should definitely have this
And
energy
then-
so that so that we save nature, we save everything that is going crazy out there, right? So let's hope for that. And second thing I can think of after what you just mentioned is, then there are communicators, right? Then there are animal communicator. I recently heard an interview where this lady, she talks to the house, she understands the energy of your house. And the example that she gave in that video was, she told the guy who asked her to channel her energy and understand how his house is doing.
yes.
She says everything is good in your house except the lady of the house, your wife. She speaks very loudly,
Oh my God.
and the house is, the energy is getting disturbed with that. So she should just lower her voice, and she should speak in such a tone that everything then becomes perfect. So I could just think of these
I
examples.
can think
Yeah,
of
there.
the chaos is going to create in that house after this comment, but still, let's not dwell upon that. How it's going to get resolved? I would
Yeah.
hate to be in the guy's shoes, after the interviewer has left. Anyway, ठीक
Yeah, yeah.
है.
Let's move to the next question. But yeah, it was very insightful. And I mean, that's the only wish that I have. All the policymakers and all of us should be, God should, be kind enough and give us this gift so that we understand everybody out there, just not human beings, but all the insects, everybody in the nature, I would
I
say.
would even go to the extent of saying that if you've had an NDE, you'll never become a politician. You can't become a politician. ठीक है ना? I mean, if you're a politician and you have an NDE, it's a different that may work out, right? But if
Right.
you
Not
had
other
an
way
NDE,
around.
you can't become a politician. And with your permission, Priyanka, can I add something? Yesterday, one of the relevant questions you asked, yesterday's last session, was about what can we do to make our passing away a little better, a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had spoken about detachment, you'll recall. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
another thing that is important is key, uh, I would think, and I dwelled upon this question that you asked yesterday, and it struck me also that, if you notice one thing, as you get older, you laugh less and less. Have you noticed?
Is
Old
it?
people don't laugh so much, yeah. Young people, choti si baat pe bhi they'll be laughing. Okay,
Okay.
old people become like doughty, and a little grim. Okay, and they don't laugh. They don't laugh. They're not cheerful. They're not as positive as the younger people. Okay, now
Okay.
this is something.
I didn't observe it. So,
No, you
but
look around.
that's a good
You look around.
point.
Being an old man myself, I find that I'm not as all the time as cheerful and as positive as I used to be. Okay. Now,
Okay.
therefore, this is obviously something that you have to look at in your life, and try as you get older to be more positive about things, to be more cheerful about things. Okay.
Okay.
Because I think you become more receptive to the negatives that are things happening rather than than the positive things, and so you have to consciously become more positive.
Okay.
Okay, you have
Okay.
to be consciously. So this would introducing more positivity into your life would certainly make things easier later. Huh? Um,
Sure.
the other thing that I was saying is also, kindness. You know, as you become as you become older, you become a little more cynical. I mean, I'm always saying these things. I notice in my friends, because everybody has friends of their age group. So I look at my friends and I say to myself, "Ki, like, people are certainly more cynical than they used to be when they were younger. You are always trying to find things that are how would you say, been there, seen this. ओके, कोई बोलेगा
Hmm.
अरे इतना ब्यूटीफुल सनसेट है, हाँ यार, बट व्हेन आई वाज इन थाईलैंड आई सॉ दिस, और व्हेन आई वाज इन बाली आई सॉ सनसेट, अरे इट वाज क्रेजी. लिसन, live in the present, live in the sunset that is there right now, right? Don't think about the
Right.
sunset that
Yeah.
you saw in Bali or you saw in Thailand. Okay, you're here and right now. You should be appreciating this sunset, right? I mean,
Mm.
sometimes people are eating some food, they're eating some fantastic food that's been spread out in front of them, but they're recalling a fantastic five-star meal that they had at the Taj, right? 3 years ago. Dekha nahi hai. Have you not noticed? Right? Are you concentrate on what
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
eating right now, but your taste buds and your need to eat, right, has been or your taste buds and your thing in your mind has been set free. So you're relating this. I can appreciate the fact that right now you're in a receptive mood, right? So you're recalling another great meal, but consciously bring yourself back to the meal that you're eating
Yeah.
right here and now. So
Yeah.
this is another thing. Focus on the present and not so much on the other side.
Yes. Yeah. And it is, I mean, you took such simple examples, but it is very crucial for all of us, right? And I think all the spiritual gurus out there, everybody I've seen, motivational speakers, they also tell us the same thing. You live in the present.
Yes,
Don't think about what has happened in the past or not, your, I think it was it you, I think on the episode one who said, right? Your present determines your tomorrow.
absolutely. Yeah,
So,
yeah. We focused
yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
right? That
Yes.
today is tomorrow's yesterday, right? Right.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
that of course, that is true. That is true. Yeah. So
So I'll just take a moment of pause here and I'll tell the listeners because there might be new listeners, join us directly with this episode. I'll tell them, I'll request them to go back and watch episode number 1, where Dr. Sinha has covered this point, which he has added upon to. So you'll understand where we are coming from. So yeah, sorry, I cut you in
and it's
between.
cool. It's
Carry
cool. It's
on.
cool. I mean, it's good if someone's watching, he will wants to have some sort of reference, as to what we're talking about. I think
Yes.
you'll be
Yeah.
grateful for that. Yeah. So this is just an add-on to what we had discussed yesterday. About the positivity and the kindness and being in the present. That also would undoubtedly would help. Undoubtedly would.
Absolutely.
Undoubtedly.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. On that note, let's now move to the next interesting question. Again, this is about the dark side of it. Somebody's asking, what is this dark space? And is it frightening? Because I remember, like on episode 1 or 2, I think we have spoken
Yesterday
about
we spoke. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
dark side, yeah, on the dark side
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If what happens like when I am in the dark
Yeah.
side, so I think it is a very good
Yeah,
question, I must
I
say.
agree. I agree. Yeah, first let's look at it in a very mega way. You look at
Okay.
what the scientists will tell you is that this universe which we exist in is 99.9% dark space. Okay, it's all dark space. Here, the suns, the galaxies, the solar systems. Okay, so you're talking of galaxies and you're talking of solar systems, right? The planets. We comprise less than 1% of the total universe. Okay. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
this is dark space, right? So we exist in a dark space. Yeah, we may be concentrating on the light, we may be concentrating on these sort of things, right? But essentially, this universe is essentially a dark space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even on this earth, on this existence, don't forget that to produce light, it takes energy.
Yeah.
The sun is a source
Yeah.
of is a source of energy from which you may derive your fire, your firewood, your whatever it is, but it's a source of energy. Therefore, it's finite. Ultimately, it goes off.
Yeah.
There's something called entropy. I don't know. Are you familiar with the term entropy? No. Entropy means the time when, say, everything is vibrating. Everything has its own vibration, okay, at a particular frequencies. So they say that, and even, I mean, the chair that we all touching, the floor, right? They all have their different vibrations, and that's why they are there. Some are vibrating slowly, some are vibrating fast, like air or gases are vibrating very, very fast and in a different level together. The day all these vibrations become equal, that day all existence comes to an end. That is entropy. In a very, very broad sense, you could say that is entropy. Okay. So essentially we are existing, right, in basically in a lot of darkness. Okay. And we are energies, right? But these are energies take effort. Okay, so the essence of this universe is dark space, right? Like we said yesterday, we also encounter dark spaces in our in our daily existence. Heck and I mean, like I said yesterday, when you close your eyes, right, you enter a dark space.
Yeah.
When you meditate,
Yeah.
you enter a dark
And you
space.
see.
We were talked about it
Yeah.
yesterday. So somehow or the other, this question has crept in yesterday itself, right? So we do essentially get into a dark space. You cannot sleep without closing your eyes. We are not like fish. Fish can, okay, but human beings cannot. Most animals cannot, right? We all need to close our eyes, right? Enter the dark space, right? And then do it, right? And then go to sleep, right? Now, therefore, this dark space need not necessarily be defined as something that you're scared of. It can be a warm and relaxing and a welcoming space also, as it is, as it is when you go to sleep or when you do your meditation. In the meditation, you try to get into the dark space consciously. In when you're sleeping, when you're trying to go to sleep, right? It's a reflex. You close your eyes, it becomes dark, and you drift away. Okay. In meditation, you're awake, but awake in a manner in which you are able to freely access this dark space. So there's no reason to think that the dark space is a scary space. It is not. It is not. But again, it depends upon what is transpiring in that dark space. What is transpiring in that dark space? All right. Now, in an NDE, right, what I personally encountered, and like I keep on saying, this is all subjective, these are all personal experiences. So I'm not saying that this is absolute. It could vary from person to person. It may not exist. Like, for example, we discussed very shortly yesterday about a life review. Now,
Yeah.
merely because I didn't undergo a life review means life review doesn't mean life review doesn't happen. A lot of people report a life review. Okay, I may not have undergone one, but people do. So you have to take it as something that does exist, right? Similarly, now when I entered when I had my NDE, right, and I told you my last thought was, I have done something so stupid, and the nurse, right? I've really, really,
Yes.
really
Yes.
done something very bad to this nurse by being so arrogant and being so stupid. All right. Now, this was a situation completely different. Okay, when after the last thought you do enter a dark space, right? In my case, maybe because I was quite young at that time, the dark space, to my mind, didn't last for a very long time. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
able to
Okay.
transit out of it quite easily. I think because I was an uncomplicated, fairly young person, right? you
Mm-hmm.
know but I guess if I was to enter the dark space of an NDE now, right, I've been carrying much more baggage than I was carrying when I was 24, 25, right? Similarly, I think when you enter the dark space is an area which gives you the time and the space, right, to sort of review things that are happening, right? um to If you have, what I'm going to say here is that the greater the lesser your detachment, means the greater your attachment to things in this life are, perhaps that will prolong the stay in the dark space, right? Once you see the light, okay, which every NDE person literally sees, right? Once you see the light, you are focused on the light. There's not much space sitting around thinking of what happened in the past and all that. Now then it becomes an onward journey, right? Like by review to karna hai na. I mean, you have to. There has to be some point in this entire situation of a near-death experience where you, or an experience of dying, right? Where you do need a space where you look at what all you have done, look where all you've gone right, look at where all you've gone wrong. Look at where you'd like to go in the future, maybe in your next work, right?
Mm.
This can also undoubtedly happen after you've fused to the light, right? But immediately after you pass on, you have to enter the dark space before you can see the light. I mean, if
Correct.
suddenly, immediately after you're dying, everybody used to see this bright flash of light and go over there'd never be any talk about dark space. But there is always a talk of a dark space. So that means everybody enter
Mm.
the dark space. What happens in the dark space, it varies from individual to individual. And
Correct.
I don't
Yeah.
think it is anything to be scared of, right? It is just a space. It's just a space like any other space, right? You can go into your bedroom. If there's a snake under your bedroom can become a very unsafe place. If your
Absolutely.
dog is sleeping under your bed, it can be a very nice place. You
Yeah.
understand my
Yeah.
point? Huh? So it all
Yes.
depends upon what you're doing in that space, what is happening in that space.
It is as good as like somebody is getting scared looking at a rope,
Yes.
assuming that it's a
That's
snake.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah.
this is just a space,
Correct.
and a space is this space is, it will be what you make it out to be, right? So it's not a thing to be scared of. It's an essential thing. It will happen. It will happen. You will enter the dark space. So why be scared
Yeah.
of something that is inevitable? I mean, it becomes the same thing. I'm scared of dying. Don't be scared of dying because it's an inevitable, right? You have to get into it. You have to die, no matter what, whether now or later or whatever it is. Ultimately, you will die. So what's the point in being scared of it? Learn to tackle it instead. Nah, that's the way we go through life. Oh,
Correct.
supposing you say to yourself, I don't want to get into a job. I don't want to start earning and interacting with people. I'm sorry, yaar, you have to. You have to grab life by the throat and you have to engage with it. Yeah. Similarly,
Yeah.
similarly, death is something that you have to engage with. There is no point in saying it's something that I'll postpone until later date. You can't. Death doesn't.
You can't.
Death doesn't wait for you. Death doesn't wait for you. You may have to wait, but death will not wait for you. It'll come when it has to come. So the thing to do
Correct.
is to try and understand it, right, and to engage with it and to embrace it ultimately. Okay.
So true. Yeah.
Embrace your death, yeah. I mean, there's no point in being scared. It doesn't get you anywhere. Being scared of anything doesn't get you anywhere, huh? Right? I don't think I can add more to it except to say this is a positive thing. It's a comfort thing. It's a warm, dark, comforting thing. I mean, look at, for example, okay, before we go off the subject, look at an embryo or look at a child, look at a fetus in its mother's womb,
Hmm.
right? It spends 9 months in the dark.
Darkness.
If it was
Yes.
scared, it
That's such
would
a
come
great.
out screaming, no? I mean, it would come out really unhappy. On the other hand, it
Yeah.
is unhappy because you've taken it away from the dark space.
Mm.
Uh,
Such a great example, Dr.
yeah,
Sinha, I
yeah.
must
An
say.
infant is unhappy because you've taken it away from the dark warmth. Okay?
Mm.
That's why it's crying. It wants to go back.
So
Yeah,
embrace darkness is what we are
exactly.
saying here.
See how strange, huh? It starts with there. You're pulled out from
Yeah.
the dark, and you go back to the dark. Huh? Oh, what a lovely cycle, no? It
Interesting.
never struck me
It is
before.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
what a good thing. I never thought of it before like that also. But see, you're in the dark. When you're conceived in the dark, right? And then you live in the dark for 9 months. You come out, right? And then ultimately you go back into the dark.
The
Isn't that
dark.
beautiful? I never thought of it before
It
either. I
is.
never thought of it before either, but it's there. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, great. Okay.
So it is first time, happening on, from Dr. Sinha at the Awakening Trail. Great, great. So I just have a quick question now this is my personal question before I ask the third one. So Dr. Sinha, you mentioned about embracing dark, right? You also talked about, when we go to sleep, we go in the darkness first, and then, we have that nice sleep. You also spoke about meditation. And when we close our eyes, it is dark. You saw the light when you had the NDE experience. Do you see the light now as well when you close your eyes for meditation?
No. The answer is absolutely straight no. And I'm not saying that's an absolute. I know people, enlightened people who probably can see that light,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
nowhere near that level. See, one of the things that I can share with you here, and I don't think my Guruji will mind. Um, Everyone is given a symbol to concentrate on when you're doing your meditation. I mean, when a guru gives you your mantra, or your guide
Okay.
gives you your, whatever meditative practice you're going to get into. So mine was a jyoti,
Right.
which is a flame. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
I can visualize a flame. I can't visualize that light. Okay. I remember the light, right? But the power of that light, there's no way I can reproduce that in my mind. Okay,
Wow.
the power of that light, I can. If you say, what is it like? So I can say, yeah, I close my eyes like I'm closing my eyes right now, and I can look at, and I can think of a globe, which is light, which is lit up, right? But the power and the attraction, that is not there. That is not there. Mind you, this has often been said by so many people that you can recall very, very vividly and clearly almost every aspect of your near death experience. Okay, even
Yeah.
after so many
Okay.
years. Now,
Okay.
you see, today I'm 73, right? Soon to be 74. And I
Exactly.
had this near death experience when I was closer to 25 or so. Okay, so it's
Mm-hmm.
been a long time. It's been a long time, right?
That's
But
big. Close to 50 years
yeah,
now.
close to 50 years, but I can still recall almost every single aspect of the entire near death experience. Now, you ask me, what is there is nothing else in my life, right? And nothing else in most NDEs' lives, right? Which they can recall with this sort of clarity. Okay. You tell
Mm,
me the
mm.
first when you the first time you came first in class, and the joy of going home and telling your mother and daddy that, look, I've come first. Okay. That was a great experience. The first time you scored a goal in a match. Okay. Great experience. Or you scored a century in your cricket, right? Great experience. The first time you had sex, maybe, right? Fantastic experience. You can't remember any of these things. You met your wife, you met your spouse, and you saw a beautiful sunset. There have been lots of beautiful, wonderful experiences in your life, right? But they fade away. The near death experience doesn't fade, which is why even today, during this interview, and when I look back at it in my meditation or whatever it is, I'm surprised because I can recall such small, small, fine details of that ND, okay, which I can't with anything else in my life. They all,
Got it.
as you get older, they all keep fading away. Yeah.
So it stays as fresh
It's
as it
as
was
fresh.
maybe when you
That's
experience
right.
it for the
But the
first time.
power of that light, no, you can't. You cannot reproduce it. You cannot reproduce it. It happens only that one time, right? If you were to reproduce it, I don't think you would ever come back. I don't think I would.
Yeah. You
You
said
would
that
go
it
again.
was, it was so pure, it was so happiness, when you
Yeah.
felt. I'm sure you would not want to come
The
back
yeah,
again.
the word is unconditional love. The what
Unconditional love.
unconditional
Yeah.
love, because you never experience unconditional love in this life, right? Because it doesn't judge you, it doesn't say whether you're good or bad or whatever it is. It just leaves you to yourself, and it just loves you unconditionally. It's like, I sometimes, when I'm the few times that I've spoken about in near that experience, I would say, you take your hand and you take your finger and you cut it off and you keep it on the table,
Mm,
right? And you ask the finger,
yeah.
what is it that you want the most? And what is the finger going to say? It's not going to ask you for a apartment in Manhattan, okay, or a yacht on the ocean. It's going to say, please just put me back with the rest of the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get it now? Excuse
Yeah.
me. So when you see the light, right, or when you are, that time, it's just a question. You feel you're going home. When you see the light, the great thing is that you just feel you're going home. And there's nothing. I mean, it's fantastic, right? But all you want to do is, like a finger which is being detached from the hand, you're just going to be put back to where you actually
Mm,
belong. Okay, you've been
right.
displaced for 70 odd years. You've been displaced. Oh, that time, 25 years, you've been displaced. You've been taken out from the main thing and asked to be independent. But essentially wants to go back, right? So the whole thing
Yeah.
of going back when you're having in the NDE, when you see the light, is the sense of familiarity. Okay, you know where you've come from. You know you're going back to a place where you always belong to, right? That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's it. You always belong to that place.
That's really good. Moving to the Next and the last question of today's episode, Dr. Sinha. What was the most mystical or occult experience you had in your life apart from NDE and out of body experience?
Okay. Now this is an intensely personal question. Okay. Um, and you know, I
You choose whether you want to answer it or
no, no,
not,
I'll
but
answer.
I mean, I
I'll
think
answer it, but I'll answer it in a way in which I will not say it's a mystical experience because I had never experienced a thing like that before, despite my ND. ठीक है ना? Um, I'll tell you. Okay, this happened many years ago. I was taking my dogs for a walk in the evening. Right, my wife, my family wasn't here. My wife, my daughter, nobody was here. I was alone at home. She had gone to the ashram and so on and so forth. But I was alone. So at about 5 o'clock in the evening, after I'd fed them their dinner, we were going for a walk. Now you know the place we live, the village we live, is surrounded by forest all around. So we were going for a walk, and suddenly, as we were walking through this field, right in the jungle or some distance away, we heard a screaming. Okay, it was a scream. It was like somebody screaming loudly and in pain, right? So the dogs they took off to see what is happening, right? I also took off.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so I also took off to see why kahan se, or what exactly is happening. So I ran up to that place, and there was a deer, which had been not captured, but being chased by a lot of the village dogs. Now the dogs in here in the village are very fierce, okay, and they're
Yeah.
strong and they're
Yeah.
fierce, okay. Um, they're feral, as we say. Okay, they're not domestic. They're feral dogs because they don't belong to people. They just hang around and they might come into your house and they may sit around. If you give them some food, but they don't belong to you. You can't take liberties with them. Okay. So
Yeah.
anyway, so about 8 or 10 of them were chasing this creature. Right, this poor deer, and the deer was running, and it had jumped into the water. They had also jumped into the water. It came out on the other side. These guys also came out the other side. It chased into the forest. They came back. They were hanging on. They were biting its legs. It jumped back into the water. These dogs were hanging on to it and biting it. I tried to chase it, okay, but these animals run very, very fast. So after 5 minutes of trying to get to that deer, right, I ran out of breath. At one point, when it jumped into the water, I was able to cling on to it. I hold on to it, right? But it gave me a kick, right? It was so frightened, gave me a kick and ran away again. And again, the dogs were able to get to it. Finally, at the deepest part of the river, right? In the meantime, I found a stick. Okay. So I was holding that stick
Okay.
and I saw that the dogs had all gathered and they had captured this thing in the water. Right. And they were like literally drowning it. There were 4 or 5 of them on it and it was literally drowning and they were ripping it apart. So I also jumped into the water with that ready stick and I hit with the stick. I hit the dogs here and there and they all scattered them into the side. And then this deer was there. Now, the first time the deer had kicked me and gone away because the water was a little shallow. Now, this time the water was pretty deep. It was right up to my chest, right? And I'm holding on. And then I put my arm around this deer, right? It was a large deer, not a small deer. I put my arm around this deer and I held on to it, right? I held on to
Wow.
it. It was getting evening. It was getting late. It was getting dark, right? All the dogs, including mine, including my dogs, all went and surrounded the place where I was sitting, okay, waiting for this creature to come out. Okay, because this time
Okay.
I realized, of course, that if this time the creature went out, they would grab it and they would kill it. I I would not be able to keep up with their running and chasing this creature. So I was just holding on to this. Now it was getting dark. I was started shouting, right? Hoping that some villager was going aas paas mein, right? I started shouting and I shouted and I shouted and I shouted for what 15, 20 minutes. Nobody responded. There was a house close by. I thought people would be living there. Didn't realize those people had gone to Bombay. Okay, the house was empty, right? So I just kept on shouting and nobody heard me. Okay, my throat went hoarse, right? And I was holding on to this creature. There's snakes in the water also. I could feel them slithering around my legs. Okay, I started getting scared. I started getting scared. It became dark. I thought to myself, कि देखो यार, here I am standing in this place and leave the deer to its karma. No. I mean, if it has to be ripped apart and eaten up and, savaged by these dogs, let it get savaged up. Hmm? Otherwise, both of us will go. Huh? And I'm
Correct.
sitting
Yeah.
over here. There are snakes here. Something bites me in, a sensitive part of my body, and I'm also going to die. And the sensitive part of my body
Yeah.
is all underwater. This funny thing was that until I had this thought, the deer had calmed down. Okay, its heartbeat, which is going tuck 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 tuck, had slowly slowed down. It was just, I was just holding on to it, right? And the warmth, I could feel the warmth from that animal, from the deer, in the water. The water was cold, right? But I could
Yeah.
feel the warmth from the animal also coating my body. I could feel the warmth around my chest. Okay. And it had calmed down. It was not kicking. It was not this thing. Heartbeat had slowed down because I was holding it to my chest. I could feel his heartbeat. Okay. Priyanka, the moment the thought crossed my mind, let the deer go, let it go to its own karma. I didn't say a word. I hadn't moved my arm, right? But this animal, the deer, sensed what I was thinking, and its heartbeat just took off
Oh,
immediately, without my moving. The thought crossed my mind. Ki, let it go. Let's both of us survive. Why should I die for the sake of this? I mean, every day there are dozens of deer which die. I mean, millions of deer which die all over the world. Why should I? मैं क्यों मरूं उसके लिए? The moment I thought this,
hmm.
it sensed it, and his heartbeat took off. And at that moment, I decided, ki, like, forget it, yeah. I'm just going to hold on to this creature. If we both have to go, we both have to go together. If a snake bites me, right, and I die here, well, so be it, yeah. We can find the other
Oh
bodies there tomorrow morning. But I kept
my
on,
God.
yeah. The moment I thought this, ki, like, we are reconciled, we are together in this whole thing. जाना है तो अपन दोनों साथ साथ जाएं. Maybe a worthless death, but like whatever it is, we'll both go together. Moment I thought this, it calmed down once again.
My
Okay,
God.
the heartbeat slowed down once again, and then I started shouting. And then some villagers were going past. They'd heard me earlier, right, about 10 minutes earlier. But here in the village, we have a superstition. If you hear somebody shouting around at night, it may be a spirit, and so don't go there alone. So they had gone, and 4 or 5 of them had come. They came with torches and rope, and somebody said, "Arey, it's the doctor saab." Okay, they didn't know who was shouting. Arey, it's Doctor Saab who's
Mm.
drowning. So they threw a rope. I took the rope. I tied up the creature with it first, right? I worked. I walked to the shore. First, I told them get rid of all the dogs because the dogs were still hanging around. Mind you, they were still waiting for a bite. I told them
Yeah.
get rid of the damn
Yeah.
dogs. The damn dogs went. And then after that, the deer was taken. I called for a truck. We put the deer inside. I went home. I changed all my clothes. I got rid. There were leeches stuck onto me. Right. Got rid of that. I had a shower. The deer was still in the gadi. Then we took it into the forest and we released it. Okay. So that was the end of the story. Right. What the whole, the entire learning experience was here that yes, in situations, you can become very sensitive to other creatures' vibrations. Okay. There was,
I want you to I want to just stop here. I mean, I'm almost in tears and please take a salute from me, uncle. You're a
no, no,
hero.
no, no, no,
Literally, trust
no.
me. It's not easy what you're explaining. And then I can understand the darkness in the forest here. It's really, really dark. Like initial days, I just couldn't get out of my house after 7 o'clock, right? So I mean, I'm like super, super impressed and I'm a fan of yours. I'm already a fan, but now a true
It's not a
fan.
fan question, but it was just another learning experience, that yes, you can actually without, I mean, it's a different species altogether. I'm a human being. This is a deer. It's a totally wild deer. It's not domesticated deer.
Yes.
Yet it's
Yes.
able
Yeah.
to pick up the vibration. Yes, I'm able to pick up his vibrations. Okay. We're just holding on to each other like that for almost for like what, an hour? Now I thought
My
to
God.
myself, who gets the chance to hold on to a wild deer close to your
Yeah.
chest for an hour? For heaven's sake, I mean, what a fantastic experience. Never to be forgotten. So
Absolutely.
I share
Yes.
this with you
Absolutely.
because
Yes.
not because it's very mystical or anything like that, but it's just an energy exchange experience, which I really,
Yeah.
has, really affected me a lot. That's all. That's all. Yeah.
No, no, but really great of you to, think about and act. Sometimes come across situations in life as well, but you don't act, right? So taking an action also, I mean, what we don't know what the consequences are going to be, but taking that first step itself shows the courage, shows how sensitive you are towards, as you mentioned, in the first question of today's episode, that, you become sensitive towards every creature.
Yes.
So this is a great example for that. I mean, trust me, it's really good. Really,
I'll
really.
I'll finish the joke. Sometimes I have this little garden at the back of my house. Okay, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
takes because Amboli it rains for 4 months at least, So in that period, you can't really grow very many things. Once the rain stop, then you take off all the dead branches and you pull out all the dead plants and you put in your fresh ones and new seeds and new things and you plant everything. The garden is looking beautiful, but the forest is behind. You wake up one morning and all the effort for the last 2, 3 months of planting and growing things, the deer have
Yeah.
visited and the whole thing is wiped out. The entire garden is looking like, oh, it's looking barren, right? Because India are big, huh? And एक रात को अंदर आ गए ना, they finish everything. So it happened after the experience. It happened 2 or 3 times. My wife is telling me, "Is that deer that you saved?"
Comes home
So
for
I'm
food now.
thinking for it, really. And I used to get so angry because so much effort you put in. You put in your manure, you put in your labor. I do most of the work myself with my own hands. So you put in the labor, you put in the manure, you put in the effort, right? And gets wiped out one night. By whom? By the deer who you stupidly saved in that pond. So that's it. That's it. Just a light thing to get out of. Uh,
Yeah, it was a great discussion today as well, like always. I think we will continue this discussions because there are a few more questions that needs to be answered and they are going to be, I mean, I think the future episodes are going to get more interesting. So with that note, let's take a pause for today and thank you once again Dr. Senna for doing this episode with
I
us.
hope you enjoyed this because I certainly did. Yeah. I hope your I
I
hope your I
absolutely
hope your
did.
listeners will enjoy it too. Huh? Okay.
Absolutely
Okay.
yes.
Hari Om.
No doubt about it.
Hari Om.
Hari
Hari Om.
Om.
Hari Om.